So we're back with another episode of Drawn from the Soul. You ready?
Yes,
Okay.
I am ready.
All right. I'm your host, Dawud Anyabwile.
And I am Kim Purejoy.
And today we have a special guest. And Kim, I wanted to ask you, did you go over any action figures or dolls or anything like that when you were a
Well,
child?
except with the black Barbie doll.
You had a black Barbie doll? In
I
the
eventually I believe that I had a black Barbie doll. I don't remember having any other color Barbie doll. It's
Okay.
possible because it was that was 61 years ago. But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So have you ever seen like black action figures in your time growing up?
Growing up, I don't remember seeing black action figures. Not really, no.
And then if you did see black action figures, did you see black action figures created by black people?
No. Other than Mattel, no.
Well, then you're in the right place.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Because today we have a special guest and I, take dolls out of your mind, take action
Okay.
figure out of your mind, and this is on
Move
another
my
level because
mind.
we're talking about art, a work of art. You see what I mean? Like
Yes.
the young Antonio Ballard figure we have here was a
Okay.
custom created figure by our guest. And these are not mass produced. You know, everybody now that is doing print, they're like printing, they're doing like 3D prints and they're
Mm-hmm.
they're printing out like mass produced
Right.
products. And that's cool. I
Right.
mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But this is next level when it's handcrafted. You're the only one with it. Like he can make a character of you.
Wait.
Yeah, it can be a character of you and nobody else will have it but you.
And that is iconic. The
That's
Brother
right.
Man figurine.
That's right.
And that's what we're talking to
That's who we're
today.
talking today.
Okay.
So
Let's talk
you
about
want to
it.
do the introduction and we'll
I
bring the
love
brother
to.
on.
I love to. So our guest today is acclaimed and truly dope sculptor, designer, and contemporary artist, Acori Honzo. Based in Philadelphia, Acori has become nationally recognized for his extraordinary handcrafted collectible figures, celebrating Black history, culture, and iconic individuals, ranging from Harriet Tubman to Malcolm X and Marvin Gaye to Ice Cube to Biggie and even Basquiat. Every piece he creates is meticulously sculpted, hand painted, and even custom outfitted, transforming collectibles into works of fine art. But today, in addition to his incredible works, we're going beyond the sculptures. On Drawing from the Soul, today we're exploring the journey, the challenges, and the experiences that shape the man behind the work. Please join us in welcoming Acori Honzo.
Thank you, thank you.
The man, the myth, the legend, Acori
Thank you.
Honzo. Thank you, brother, for being on and for what you do.
Nah, I appreciate you guys for just reaching out and nah, I just appreciate it. Very humble words you were reading. It's very humbling.
And we're honored.
Yes, indeed. So how you feeling there? Your day going good so far?
Yeah, bro. Yeah, I mean it's it's hot in Philly, but well I know y'all. I know where y'all know what hot is. So I can't even. I don't
Right.
think I can.
But
I
nothing
can
like
like.
Philly hot, so I'm just
Yeah,
saying it got to be different, right?
yeah, yeah. So, but just hot and but like I said, well, it's just quiet now. It's kind of here it's kind of quiet. The especially doing with the art scene. So for me, it's I had some events that were going to be going on, and then they were like canceled like at the last minute.
Mm-hmm.
So I just pretty much got like free time to just create and like actually slow down.
Mm-hmm.
You're just going so hard at work. I know you're just going so hard just working and constantly just that you barely get to just slow down and like really just take things. I think this has happened for the first time for me in like, sheesh, I want to say like 5 years because I just been on go for like 5 years.
Sometimes that's a good thing to have a moment of relaxing and time for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Yeah, yeah.
So,
First time I just realized like the other day it was like, yo, I just walked up the street and I didn't think about anything.
anything else? Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's
that was wild. That was wild.
space to be in, not
Say.
thinking about anything. That's no stress.
Hmm.
That's peace. That's peace.
So jumping into the
Yeah.
what I wanted to do was before we go into your life, can you just give the people out there who don't know you from your words, you know,
Mm-hmm.
uh tell them about yourself now, what you're doing right now, and then
Okay.
like paint that picture for them so then when we take them into the past, they'll understand um the stepping stones as to
Okay.
what brought you to this point of greatness.
Yeah, first I'm a Corey Honzo, Philadelphia, bit born and raised based artist. I'm still there to this day. Um, I'm self-taught. Um, self-taught. I went to college for a little bit of classes,
What
because but it's really just self-taught, everything. And I started with the basics with drawing. Um, like now I sculpt, but that wasn't always a thing. It just happened one day. I just started doing that. Um, I'm just a creative. But doing what all that creating I did led up to what I do now is where I consider myself a contemporary artist, slash documentarian of our story. We'll say Black history, but I say the history because our story is the American story more than just as much as the indigenous people. We like our story is the American story. When they talk about American exceptionalism and all these buzzwords, and that's literally our story. What we came from to where we are today is American exceptionalism, and that paints a picture more than anything. So that's what I do, celebrating the past, the present, and our future, and covering all of us, no matter who it is. Like you said, from Harriet Tubman up to Pop Smoke. Because if there wasn't a Harriet Tubman, there wouldn't be a Tupac or whoever the ones that write, because
yeah,
we
yeah.
weren't allowed to read or write. So it all connects. And my work that I do now is to educate, uplift without any trauma, and also to connect generations and create discussions about race where no one is feeling unease. It's like we can have a clean discussion about race where no one's on end. It's inviting to have that discussion.
That's good. I mean, and I was actually saying in our intro episode, I was talking about how us sharing our stories is, some people take when you love yourself is automatic a hate for others, when
Mm-hmm.
that's not the case. It's like if you love the children in your house, does that, they're the ones that you're cultivating in your home. Does that mean you hate the other kids on the block? You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
the ones in your
Yeah.
house, that's the one that comes first. They're the ones that you're feeding. They're the ones you're responsible for. And they're the ones that you're going to uphold and send through school and things of that nature. But at the same time, the other child comes in your house and, if you know, uh, they need some guidance or something like that, you're going to help them as well. But you're still um, basically advancing your family first and foremost, and
Yeah.
that's good for other people because then other people see that your family is doing well and your family setting an example. It helps others.
Well, as it
Oh
goes
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
at home, you know, love your neighbor
Yeah.
as yourself, whichever way you want to go with it. You know, we have to.
Well, it's one of those things where, well, look who created this English language, right? So what they did with the language was, you know, when you use, I'm trying to say a way to, I know this is not about art, but I'll just say this real quick. When you, when you, but this is history, so we got to say it. So when you say things, when you use the language for hate and say things like white power, right? And then you say or white supremacy or it was just the way it was used against us. So naturally when we say black power and we're not saying it the same way, you're taking it the way that you projected it out because you used it to put us down or elevate yourself, where we're just using it to 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 uplift and empower because we were placed, you know, down here. So and we're only using the words that came from you, and you know, so you know, so but when it comes to us, we can never like that's our story. Is whatever you created, we take and use for positive, or we add some secret sauce to it and make it better, or we make it better, and then you're upset because we used it and we what's the word? We evolved, took it somewhere,
Formed it.
and you know it's like it's a never ending battle. You know, we can never win. It's a catch 22. You know, either way.
Well, I mean, first of all, it's not going off topic, like, saying is it off topic from art because that's what drawing from
Yeah.
the soul. It's like I say it's a double entendre of
Mm,
drawing, the creative side of drawing, but also uh pulling from the soul. Like as artists, we all have an individual story to tell. And
mm-hmm,
a lot of times, we say how we get caught up in the out, sometimes we create outside in when we consume everything all the time, where we get lost,
mm-hmm.
not knowing who we are. And the thing is to inspire people to create from the inside out. So that's why I said when I talk to artists, you're sharing your story. So to me, there's not a wrong of your
Okay.
story. Like, hey, on this path, because these are all the components that made you. So
Mm-hmm.
I can't talk about that. No, you can't talk about that because that's who you are, and that's what we're trying to pull out. We're not just talking about
Mm.
the ends, which is the amazing craftsmanship of what you're creating, because there was a whole journey before that, and that's what
Right.
we're here to explore. So, with that said,
Yes, I mean, I have so many questions.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
even
yeah.
what you were just talking about in terms of the concept of drawing from the soul and how we want to understand what was put into the soul for you to draw.
Mm.
I love how you called yourself a documentarian. And
Mm-hmm.
so, how do your works of art, your sculptures, your figurines tell these stories of our history and our journey and yours?
Well, it started with I'm trying to figure out a way where I can start at so I can explain because it's pretty much my experience and how I learned. Like I started off, I didn't start off like I said before. I didn't start off sculpting. I I wanted to be a writer. I wanted to be a director. You know, I like to tell stories. So, um, and I had a grandmother. When I would go see her, she had a typewriter, right? So she implanted the idea of, hey, I'll just sit here and type out whatever you say. I'm like, oh, so I can make up my own stories, you know? Oh, wow, you know that's possible, you know. So that started the imagination that you can create, you know, whatever you want. And like I said, when we was like, I guess we were '80s babies. I was born in '77, but you know, we're coming up during that era where it's just Lucas and Spielberg and you know, so we're getting a lot of new stories and new worlds because I had no idea about Lord of the Rings and all that yet. You know, just visually at cinema, we're getting new world and stories shown to us. And then when I go to the library, you know, when they taught it, we learned about the Dewey Decimal System and all that. So you start finding out more books and Tolkien and then the comic books comes, and then comic books is just opening that world of just building. So I just wanted to do it all. I just wanted to create that way. Um, my dad could always draw. My dad was like he had the artistic skill. So what I would do is I go, you know, Dad, can you teach me how to draw He-Man? And my dad would go, sure, I'll teach you how to draw He-Man. My dad would get a piece of paper and he started going. I'm like, oh man, I'm about to get a picture of He-Man from my dad. You know, that's it's like two levels of cool. You know, your dad can draw. You know, you might think your father's a superhero, but you're like, man, my dad can make. He wait till I'm gonna show it to school and show it. When he hands me the paper, I look at it. It's a stick figure. My dad goes, "You fill in the lines," and I go, "How am I gonna fill in the lines?" He goes, "You fill in the lines, and it will be He-Man." So that took me to going, how can I fill in the lines? I don't know anybody muscular like that, you know. So that led me to comic books. Oh, now look at the comic books. Oh, okay. So my dad basically gave me the template. It all starts with a stick figure. I start filling in the lines. And when you're in school, it's like you're one of the two kids. That was back in the day with like you're one of the two kids in school that can draw.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
I was always the one of the two.
Mhm,
and
mhm,
the other kid was always better. And I wasn't upset that the other kid was always better. I always found his art cool. But
mhm.
that's always what it was. It was always before the internet. So he's like, you're not looking at 50 million dope people. And that was how it was for a while. So when I started doing comic books, learning to draw from comic books, it wasn't until I think Spider-Man, and I didn't read them consistently, but I just like Spider-Man. But I remember when Spider-Man issue 300 dropped, and that's because the guys that were collecting, we had a guy who would like he was like a bully slash like cool dude, but he was a bully. So he like make us sit on his steps, and he made us sit on the steps, and he said, "You guys sit here." And we're like, "Oh, what is he going to do to us today? Is he going to make us like run and beat us up? Like, what is he going to do?" He says, "You all sit right here." And he goes upstairs and he comes back down and he goes, "Look at this." And it's Spider-Man 300 with Spider-Man swinging all, crazy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, "What is that?" And he's like, "This is Spider-Man. I never seen Spider-Man pose like that. It's the old school way of just
Is this the Todd
not what we see
McFarlane?
today." The Todd
Okay.
McFarlane. So that introduces me to. I'm like, who is it? He's like, it's Todd McFarlane. And he's breaking it down. So the book's
Yeah.
like, this is Todd McFarlane, and you don't know nothing about that. And I'm sitting there like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. This opens up my brain to wait. So you can take an, another character and do whatever you want with it. So now I'm open to, you can create your stories. Now there's things that already exist, but you can take that and make it look the way you like. Like there's no like.
Yeah, yeah.
Now I'm realizing there's no rule. There's no rule, because we set rules. So from that, then I'm just drawing, straight up drawing, 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 drawing. Then that same dude introduces me to hip hop.
Mhm.
So I walk into one day, I hear the symphony playing, right? The Juice Crew. So I'm like, what's this? My mom didn't let me listen to rap. My mom didn't let me listen to none of that. So, but she took me to the Nutcracker and all this stuff. So I knew symphony. I learned to play the violin very early. I knew that's what I knew was a symphony. So when I'm hearing this and they're telling me it's the symphony, I'm like, nah, this is not a symphony, right?
Yeah.
But then I'm listening and I'm hearing Big Daddy Kane and Cody rapping all on for the first time, and I'm like, yo, what is like? It's the greatest thing I ever heard. I want to rap, right? So Slick Rick shows me you can storytell and rap. So now I'm like, okay, so I go hardcore into writing that way. So now I'm back into writing, So um, and then like I'm hardcore into like just hip hop, just because it's a new thing. The golden era comes, you know. I run into a guy. He made beats when not when everybody did it, So the Gemini samplers and all that. So
Yeah, yeah,
I'm seeing all that, but basically what's happening, and the reason I'm saying all this is like me seeing. This is me seeing creation, like
yeah, yeah.
all these ways to create, and my brain is just absorbing it all. Just like, look, I want to do that. I wake up today, I want to make a song, I make a song. I wake up tomorrow, I want to draw something, I draw something. I want to write a story, I write a story. I'm just in the habit of that, so I absorb any medium to the point where I was doing I got heavy in the radio, so the audio theater, and I'm studying the DJs, and from Howard Stern to Rush Limbaugh to so I'm like I'm just absorbing all of this different things. All this is helping me build up, you know, that we can be multiple things.
Mhm.
But at the same, but now this is what's crazy is for a period of time, I ended up going to a white school, right? So when I go to this white school, I'm seeing what they have there and what we don't have in our school, right? So like I remember I'm thinking I'm like I was like seventh grade, man. I'm in seventh grade at that out there. They got a little lobby with couches, it's things that make you want to just chill at school, versus where we're at, they don't.
About nothing.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm starting to see what they don't have, and then I experienced my first case of racism, like, and I remember telling my mom, like, look, man, every kid they don't believe. Every kid says the teacher doesn't like them. So I'm like, Mom, they don't like me. Da da da. They're failing. And Mom's like, you got to do better. And what happened was they failed me in art. That's when my mom was like, oh,
Wait.
all right. So and so then she sent me. So then what happened was after that happened, I went to another school, and I'm back in Philadelphia's school, but it's just not. I see like once again, I see the difference even. But while I was there, when I went to that white school, I soaked up everything I could. I took television production. These are things while I'm a little kid. I took television production, commercial art. I took all these things that the normal kid wouldn't have access to where we're from. So all these things are just like I said, just being instilled in me up through. So even up through high school, I'm taking strategic. What's it called? Strategic learning for commercial art, photography. I'm just absorbing every way to possibly be creative, not knowing where it could lead because my grandparents taught me go get a job, you know, be the first one to leave, last one to go. You'll move up the corporate ladder, that thing. So I'm not seeing myself as all these skills I have and all these things I can do. They start to like wane off because now you're in the workforce and you're just focusing on working. But what's wild is everywhere I work, I ended up doing something of one of these things where people at work were like, "Why are you here?" And I'm like, "You work." And they're like, "No, man, you're talented. You hear it everywhere you go. You're not supposed to be here. You're not supposed to be here." So I always was reminded that people go, "You're talented. You're talented." So, fast forward up to I had the last job I was at. I worked there for like 5 years. There was no They removed any type of moving in up in corporate, the corporate world. They removed all the benefits they used to give. They used to give you tuition reimbursement, all these things. So I didn't have access to that anymore, and I didn't get one raise in 5 years. So it was like you ever see the movie Office Space,
uh,
where
um,
I haven't seen
was that a comedy
yep,
with
this is
Dave
where the
Chappelle?
guy that
No, 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 no,
no
not Dave
that's
Chappelle.
half baked.
That's half baked. No, Office Space. That's where they threw the copy
The
machine
fax
up. Yeah, the fact.
machine.
Yeah, I saw
you
that.
that guy, like I was that guy in that. If I'm explaining for you, Office Space was where a guy he just was like, F it.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna show up to work. I don't care. Fire me. I don't care. And it's like when he did that, it didn't even work that way. Actually, everybody like the job he got in a promotion.
Mhm.
So, but for me, that was me. I was like, you know what? I haven't gotten a raise in 5 years. You took all my time. Um, um. Now what happened was by then I had one day I just went on lunch and picked up some clay and just started sculpting at my desk. Right. So now I'm like, I sculpted a whole piece. It was like a big bear with Flavor Flav clock. It was very detailed for like a first sculpt. So now what happens is, remember when Heath Ledger passed away? Um, Me and my wife we didn't collect figures, so I didn't collect this thing like that. So we go to a comic book store just looking in there. We weren't going to buy nothing. We just moved to an area that had a comic book store, so we're going in there looking, and she spots a Heath Ledger figure, Joker figure up there, and it was like $100 something, and she was like, "Should I buy it?" And I was like, "Well, it's the only thing of him because they didn't have memorabilia for everything like they do now." So she's like, She grabs it and she takes it home, and it sits on our wardrobe for like a, a nice period of time. What happens is one day I go and take a look at it and open, and I see all the detailed clothing. It's about a 12-inch size of a Barbie, but it's like super detailed. Like he has the little cards, the little gun, little magazine comes out the gun. The mask goes on. So I'm like, wow, when did they start doing this with figures? Like the clothing is better than Barbie's tailored. Like it's tailored clothing. So I'm like, yeah, I want something like this, but I want something black. So I
Mhm.
go looking around for like black figurines. The only thing they had was Blade, Wesley
Mhm.
Snipes.
Mhm.
So that's when I said, you know what? Instead of me going online and screaming in comment sections, because now we got Facebook and
Yeah.
stuff. Now, instead of going and complaining, saying, where is it at? I'm just going to make my own. So when you come over my house, you're going to go, where that little Richard Pryor come from? Or where that, so, yeah, and that's basically how that started. And when I said, I try to challenge myself. Anything I do, I try to do the hardest thing. So when I first started sculpting, I said, a figure like that with the clothing, I said, what's a hard one to do? What would be something challenging? I said, you know what? Let me try Michael Myers from Halloween, because that's a mask over a face. And if I
Mhm.
can sculpt a mask, but it looks like a face is behind that mask
Mhm.
and with real hair on it,
Mhm.
I know like I'm good.
Mhm.
And I pulled that off. I
Mhm.
sculpted it, and and when people were looking, they go, I can see the eyes behind it. And I'm like, okay, I
Mhm.
pulled it off. So, but I started seeing other guys online sculpting. So I'm looking for other brother or sister that could teach me this, and there was none that even knew what I was doing then.
Mhm.
So I'm reaching out to guys online, and they're gatekeeping. It took a guy named Montwain Gonzalez. I'll never forget his name. He was on YouTube. He did nothing but horror figures. But I was like, well, horror, you can sculpt horror. You can sculpt
Yeah.
anything because all that grotesque.
Okay.
So I sent a message to him and I said, look, sir, I said, sir, can I talk to you just for 5 seconds? Because I want to learn. And he hit me back on my break while I was at work. And I remember I left from my desk and went and sat in the car. And he looked at my work by the time he talked to me. And he said, bro, you just started? I said, yeah. He said, brother, the subjects you're choosing, because I had moved on to like, I moved on to George Jefferson, Richard Pryor. Um, when I picked like serious stuff, he said, look, man, you're better than I was when I first started.
Mhm.
He said, I can't let you get off the phone till I tell you everything you need to know.
Hmm.
And he said, you have to keep on going. Like you're like, dude, you have to keep on going. So, but from him saying this to me, it was the same as like anybody we see on YouTube. Or when I'm like, look, this dude took the time to talk to me, and he said this. That's what started it. So, like Office Space, I said when
Mhm.
they took my time, and I said, you know what? I'm going to take my time, cause and you're going to fire me instead of me quitting because I'm going to take the unemployment. Because
Right?
if I'm doing this with my little bit of time after work, right?
Yeah.
If you turn me loose and I get unlimited hours a day to hone this in, I'm good.
Yeah.
So you're going to fire me. And I took that attitude. I went in there, didn't care about dress code, walked in there just wearing whatever. And I remember everybody was looking at me like, dude, you're not wearing this. Oh, you're gonna get in trouble. And I would sit there and go, get in trouble? We're grown. We're grown adults. We mean get in trouble. Like what's going on? So, and I couldn't wait to get fired. What was funny was so if you look at my Instagram, like everything I'm saying is true. If you look at my Instagram and you go all the way back,
Mhm.
you'll see when I started sculpting. You'll see I switched from drawing like Ninja Turtles and stuff to the sculpting. Now the funny thing is, all that sculpting is, is at my desk at work. I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
said I'm gonna do it in your face. Now,
Bro, and blame.
it took them a year to
They
fire me.
fire me. It took a year.
A year. Somehow didn't care. My stats were still good. My stats were good, better. So it like they fired me on something that had nothing to do with performance. Like I think they were just tired of me. I think they
All
just
the clay
I just
everywhere.
Clay in the keyboard.
that's the wild thing. They never said nothing about that.
Sculpting them, looking crazy.
They got me on like I just called out one day, and I guess they thought I was gonna like never, like I was gonna abuse calling out. No, I just called out that one day, and they were like, "Oh, that's it," and I was like, "But no, the sculpting, not one thing. Just people used to come and touch shit at my desk, like they didn't care, like they just let it happen. My desk was filled with heads just going all the way around.
Mhm.
But this is my thing. That year was me building up the skill. So what happened was I couldn't wait for them to fire me. So when I see the thing finally come through, they're like, "You got a surprise meeting today." I'm like, "It's time," you know. So I'm gathering all my stuff, you
And,
know. Like they, yeah, everybody else is sad. They're like, "Oh my gosh!" I'm like, "Look, don't cry for me. Don't
are
cry for me." I run down there. I have all my stuff in my hand because they probably expect me to walk down there and not expect that the meeting. They thought, I'm walking there with my stuff. Like, where's the paper? and and I
what
remember
am I saying?
the one supervisor. She said, "You know what? You should go into art." and the, and then the and she said,
Yeah,
"You got
thank
any last?" Yeah.
you.
She said, she said, "You got any last words?" And I said, "Yeah, follow me at the House of Hanzo on Facebook." And I remember the other lady just bursted out laughing like, "This dude is crazy." And literally, right after I got fired, my wife had found out they were building the Cherry Street Pier, which is going to be like an artist hub down on the waterfront. And she told me, she said, "Look, they're building this place. It's going to be for artists, and it's going to be on the waterfront in Philly."
That's
And I
amazing.
was sitting there, like, they're not going to let my black behind in there. They're not going to understand what this is. They're going to look at it like it's a toy.
Mhm.
Um, so I literally, because I thought they wouldn't let me in there, I went and applied with a white lady. Like we were going to share a studio. I was like, I'm gonna get in there, but I know the game. So I go and apply with this white lady we knew. And what's wild is they called me back. They didn't call her back. And and when I went to the meeting, because I had did all that work over the past year, I had all that work to show.
Mhm.
So they're looking at full finished pieces, and they're like, "We never saw anything like this before." And they actually got it. I just lucked out and got a lady that came from California that was was about it, and she just got it, and then they all got it, and my wife was right. She saw the vision, and I was in there. Once I got in there, within no time, even before I got in the studio, I was in the paper just looking at the studio. They wanted my know my story. Then when I got in there and they saw the work, WHYY came in there and gave me a segment, and that just sparked off this whole thing. And I never wanted the attention. I just wanted to create. So, and I wanted you to find my spot. You remember the movie Gremlins, where where it's just this guy in an old shop and he has all these things.
Oh
There's no
yeah.
commercials. I wanted to be that guy. I said, "Yo, I want people to find my stuff. I want our people, not I want our people to like just stumble on upon me on the waterfront. You just walking by and all of a sudden you see nothing but just black smack in the face. Like, hey, like, where's this?" And that's how I operated, by word of mouth, and Instagram has really pushed it too, and that's literally what I did, and it set everything off from there. Being in that artist space, I learned from all established artists, and they were the ones like, "You're gonna go somewhere. You're gonna," and I just listened to them,
Mhm.
and I learned from everybody around me and soaked everything in, and I was just able to hone my craft down there on the waterfront, to up to the time when I met when I met you, because it was wild with Ibn, a Mesquite. He walked into my studio and he's like, "Wow, brother, you do a lot, you do some work." And I was like, "Oh yeah, thanks, sir." He's like, "Yeah," he's like, "Sir, he's like, you're gonna be bigger than this. You're outside of this. I don't see you here." I said, "Oh wow." I say to him, I said, "Oh wow, thanks. Do you do art?" Him and the people he with, they just start laughing at me, and I'm like, "Why everybody laughing?" He's like, "Yeah, I do art. I do something." And then the other guy goes, "Man, he's from Mesquite." I go, "Oh." And fast forward to that, he invites me to an event. That's where I met you,
Mhm.
because even you tie into this. That whole era of me coming up. Todd McFarlane, right?
Mhm.
I'm in the black school, like, yo, right with my comics. The black kids is like, brother man.
Dang.
I'm like, brother man? What's brother man? You don't know who brother man is? No. So then they showing me the brother man books, and I'm like, what the H? Like, what did I miss? You know, what did I miss? So then I'm going back and seeing that. Then I find out that like you had the spot on
Washington
Washington
Lane.
Lane,
Yeah.
and I'm like, yo, he got a spot.
School
Like,
of the Art.
so now I'm seeing a black man has a spot in our neighborhood, and he's making comics, something every black kid wasn't into, and then I found out about the classes that was going on. I found like you had were doing like it's not just you draw for Marvel.
Mm.
Now I'm saying, oh, I don't have to get a job at Marvel. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
I can build my own thing. Um, yeah, so that's pretty much how I started.
Yeah.
Um, and you see how everything like it's everything I just absorbed it all and I got a lot of influences, but basically when it came down to it was you and Todd McFarlane that set that thing off with me going,
Wow.
oh,
That's crazy.
I
I
can do my
didn't
own
know it was
thing.
like that.
Oh yeah, bro,
Both of
yeah, because
these
Todd
local
McFarlane,
legends in the house.
yeah.
I always and it's funny. I never met Todd McFarlane, but I always loved his interviews because I felt like he worked the way me and my brothers worked. Like he, he was always making his own decisions. He was
Mm-hmm.
like, when he was negotiating contracts, like even with Toys R Us and all these other companies, he was right there. Like
Yeah,
he was making sure everything was happening the way he wanted things to happen. And
yeah,
that's how we were
yeah,
running Big City Comics back in the days. Like, it's not like somebody else was just handling everything because everybody used to say, "Who's your agent? Who's your publicist?" It's like you're looking at them. So they kept
yeah.
wondering, well, how you doing all this? There's always got to be something bigger behind us because almost like they
Exactly.
can't comprehend us.
Who authorized you to do
Yeah,
what you do?
perfect, perfect. Yeah.
But
Who
well,
authorized?
but that you were ahead of the time. But this is why I say you. This is why I say you and McFarlane, right? You and McFarlane to me was showing me DC who, Marvel who,
Awesome.
right? Now, this is the wild thing. McFarlane was out there, right? You weren't you weren't at whatever this quote unquote level everybody if they like put it in a shallow view, like
Mhm.
the level that they're at, but you were making the moves they were making. So you were making just as much noise as Image Comics was making within our community.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So that like so that's why I said that it's just wild when I think about when I think I was like, yo, bro, you was just ahead of the time because there was no big comic boom for us.
Mhm.
You was in a space that still was their space,
Mhm.
but you brought enough brothers into this space that that didn't go, no, I only want Marvel and DC. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? I only want my the one what I know. You came in the space where not everybody was accepting any other superhero,
Mhm.
and you like so you're like, yeah, I got Brother Man, and Brother Man is sitting there next to Superman and
Yeah.
Spider Man and all these things that have been established. So in a time where comics did start booming, but like superheroes weren't as big as they are today.
Nah, that's why, yeah, people
Yeah,
they don't understand that because we were on the
yeah.
cusp of the Turtle era. Like the 80s was the Ninja Turtle era, and people still weren't talking, especially like black people weren't talking.
Nope.
They weren't even talking Black Panther, Luke Cage, because
Nope.
in the 70s, 80s, they were kind of more stereotypical. There was a brother I knew who said there was the before Brother Man, Luke Cage, and the after Brother Man, Luke Cage. Like polished them up and everything because of the impact that
Yeah.
he made. So
Yeah.
um
Yeah, bro.
yeah, so you were from that era, and man, I really appreciate your story because you covered a lot. You covered like a lot of stuff, a lot of questions that we had. We
Yeah.
just
Mm-hmm.
kind of let you go, and you tapped into a lot of it. I know you. I could tell you had something you
Oh,
had
well,
there.
I do have a few curious questions. First of all, I just want to say and I'm sure so many people who listen to this I am deeply inspired and
I appreciate
fascinated
it.
by your story and just who you are. And, question is a statement. One is, do you feel like you have been divinely guided through this process of becoming who you already were and are?
Yeah, yes. I I literally I literally say, and I didn't always think like this, right? And like I went to church. I was a Catholic school kid. Later on, Baptist. My mom was going to church religious, but like me, like I, you know, I had belief, the belief system, but I can say literally, people go, well, how do you create? Because people go, you need to teach, brother. You need to teach. We need brothers like you to teach. And I go, I can't teach it. And they go, why can't you? You to me, it's like,
You know,
bro, it's like I black out
yeah.
and I wake up and it's done. So I say God got it in my hand
Mm-hmm.
because that's the only way I can explain it. It's like, yo, God got it in my hand. I can't tell you what I did, man. Like it's like the incredible. It's like I just blacked out, woke up, and I'm looking at it the way you're looking at it. I'm like, yo,
What happened?
it's
That's
it's
from
it's,
soul, big
Drawing from the
time.
soul.
Big
it's
time.
Marvin Gaye. Yo, that's Marvin Gaye. Yo, hey, yo, that's Tupac. Yo. I'm doing the same. Like my reactions is the same as you. When I used to do early interviews, I used to go. I would tell people, I go, I didn't make it for you. I'm not being like cocky. I'm just saying I didn't make it for you. I made what resonates with me. Now the difference is I know because of our connection, if it resonates with me, it's going to resonate with at least a couple of you because we are connected. So I don't think in terms of what would you like. I just know I like something and some of us are connected or we have the same like mind. And there's no way I can make all these black people
Mhm.
and you not like dig one of them.
So you are truly a very um, anointed, skilled vessel. And I think about when you say how when you went to the white school and you failed art, well, you didn't fail art, they failed you, and
Mm,
whatever their agenda was. But I see a divine connection, in terms of how your parents, I mean, of course we wanted to know about your background and what kind of home, and who helped to shape you. But I just want to give major respect to your parents, your grandparents, and the fact that your mother listened and pulled you out, because I'm thinking about so many people and young people who could have just got um, stopped, from what their
yeah, yeah.
divine purpose is. So I just wanted to, point that out. And I love what you said about at your job, and how what really they meant for one thing in turn to take away your benefits, but that was the inspiration that you needed. I'm just curious,
Mm-hmm.
what kind of corporate job did you have? And and I just imagine you making these sculptures, sculptures, and you supposed to like be a insurance agent or something. You just making
It, it,
sculptures.
it, pretty. I worked in the workers' comp field. I
I
won't say the
sure
company.
that's
I won't say the company, but it's a big insurance. It was a big
yeah.
insurance
I
company.
claimed adjustment.
I worked in workers' comp. I was responsible for assigning the nurses, finding a nurse that can go to your meeting with the doctor and make sure you wasn't faking
Yeah.
or and this is another part that why I was done with that job. It was like some of them it got to the point where they wanted me to assign nurses that would push the doctor to get the person to return to work. And I that the last straw for me in that one was there was a case that came through and it was I think the person worked at one of them Papa John's or something like that, and they were like, why is this person not coming back to work? Or what's this person? Why haven't they returned to work yet? So I went and read the story. Because they get us all the emails I could read. And this person was at work. Someone walked into Papa John's and shot the co-worker right next to her.
Mm.
So you ask them, why did she come back to work? Bruh,
Yeah.
she's
Yeah.
not right.
Yeah.
Hmm.
She's not right. What do
Hmm.
you mean? Right? So I was sitting there, and and then they kept telling me to hire an aggressive nurse, and I was like, "What does aggressive mean?" After a while, I started asking, "What does aggressive mean?" And they were like, "A nurse that will push the doctor, to get him back to work." Um, I had a lot of freedom because like I said, I always picked the job. I always like chose the difficult job. So I picked the nurses in the states nobody really wanted because they had to really go hunt down the nurses and not just get a flood of them responding. So I was responsible for California, big area, and Illinois. So, um, so, uh, so the knowledge I had when it came time for me to create, it was like I'm literally hunting down nurses individually, but they got to get back to me when they get back to me. So I send the email out to all the. I had a system send the email out to all these nurses, see who grabs it, and by the time they get back to me, I'll go work on this thing, you know, and it'll be done. Um, and because it wasn't like I just created a system that allowed me to do it. Now, like I said, I didn't know it was going to take them a year to like finally fire me. But like they did, yeah, that's what that was. But it
So
was workman's comp.
when did you start sculpting? Because you said you go back in your IG page, you can see the transition.
Oh,
About when did you start sculpting? Because it seems like it couldn't have
um,
been too long ago.
um, the job right before that, this last job, right, this is where I knew I could. No, I knew. This is how I knew I could sculpt. My daughter brought home some clay one day. This is before this job. She brought home some clay one day because the teacher just gave her some clay. So while me and her are talking, the clay is there, and I'm just playing with my hands. And I walk out, it's a whole cat. And I just walk and leave it there. But it was like I don't. Even my kids to this day, if you go, your dad's so down. Now they'll be like, yeah, but there's a period of time you be like, look what your dad did. They'll be like, that's a Tuesday. To them,
Yeah,
yeah,
sculpt a piece of bread.
yeah, they'll be like that.
When
So, my dad makes things. So then when I got in a job, when I went out to get that piece of clay, that's why I got the clay. I was like, look, I sculpted a cat like it was nothing. I want to sculpt a bear today. And I sculpted a bear at my desk. And that was it. I let that sit there. Still didn't focus on that. It just was a thing sitting in my house. When I get to this job, um, when I saw there were no black figurines, but I saw how the size of the heads and that sculpting, I was like, how do I make that? You know what? I'm gonna order some dental tools off of Amazon. I think that's how I do it. And that's how that started. Because once I did it and I got them and I said, oh, wow. Done right there. Now, I'll give one more thing I that, about this. I didn't always know how to paint black skin. I could paint white people all day, like Caucasian. I didn't know how to paint black skin. And when I say paint black skin, you could paint brown people, but no, I didn't want that Barbie look where you just throw some brown on it. I said
Yeah.
I want our shades,
Mhm.
our tones. How do I do that? How do I learn that? I don't want to learn from an adult because they're going to try to explain it, and they make everything rocket science. They try to make everything sound intelligent. So I went on YouTube and looked for little young, not little, young ladies doing makeup videos. Because I said, if you learn from a child, I tell anybody this, if you want to learn something, try to learn it. When you go through YouTube, if you try to learn something, see if you can find a video where a young kid is explaining it. Because they just say it without overthinking it and they give it to you plain Jane without trying to sound intelligent. And that's what happened. So I'm watching these videos that I'm learning about contours and all this for certain people who have certain darker skin, uses a little bit of orange hair. So I'm like, oh, word. And then when I added that element to my pieces, that's when everything
Yeah,
really
that's
took off.
crazy. And I was even wondering, I said I had to ask, how did you learn to sew like the little pants and make the little sneakers and jewelry and glasses and stuff like that? I'm like, because that's what really sets it off is the intricacies in your work.
In the beginning, in the beginning, my wife helped me do that.
mm,
Now, once again, I went to a white school, home economics.
mm,
You learn to cook, you learn to sew. My wife could do the sewing, but I knew how to reverse engineer sewing patterns from taking clothes apart because I took home economics and I knew that you have to have a sewing pattern.
Hmm.
So I would make the sewing pattern and we sit there, we go back and forth, and then silly from the color purple's done. You know what I mean? So like, then that's where it was. So that's because that was one of the first pieces we did from like scratch. You know, in the beginning, I was getting like Barbie doll clothes and trying to learn from that and put it together. But I just didn't like how it fit.
Thinking the same thing. You was we
I
Yeah,
have to,
I
yeah,
was thinking the same thing. I'm
we have
telling you.
to
Did you
share
authorize
this.
for us to bring the brother man hand
yeah,
sculpted figurine out,
Here, hold on.
designed and created
Take off
by
the tone of silence. Put that over there. And yeah, look at these details.
So,
The way, like, cause I'm always looking at this and I'm thinking, how did he do this book bag? How did he sew? You got the jeans. It's just like from the comic book. It's
you see
ridiculous.
it show hold it up,
yeah.
show shoes
I
more.
You
could,
got
uh,
the
I
shoes.
could,
This
yeah,
is
the shoe, the
Honzo.
socks, the socks. Now it was wild. I remember making that, and I was like, "Can I do real shoes?" And I was like, I don't have that skill level yet. I'll wait till I can come back. But I like I said, I have the ability to like just figure it out. If I don't know how it's done, if I can't, I'll just try to figure it out. But I know like the way I want it to look and what I want to catch. So I remember when making that. Truthfully, the only thing on it that had me shook when I was making that was when you told me you wanted the mask to be able to come off,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
I was like, what? I gotta cast a mask? I've never casted nothing, that small, but
Taking it
you
off.
know what? But I
Back.
It can come off. You can tell
Yeah,
it
it can come off.
comes off.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So
yeah. And that's because Dawud said it. Because the option I saw, what I was trying to get Dawud to tell, I was like, how about I give you two alternate heads, one without the mask, and you can switch them. and,
Right.
and he and he was like, no, they can come off. I said, well, how can I cast it that a mask can go on and off, and not only that, one that is fits the face. Like, how can I get it to fit the face? So I remember I remember sitting up trying to figure that out, and what I did was I sculpted the face. I got some foil, put I sculpted the face, casted the face so the foil wouldn't damage the original clay sculpt.
mhm.
I put foil over that, then I sculpted the mask over the face, baked the mask in the oven, and I made like 3 or 4 masks just in case that one broke. And then I casted all the masks, and whatever one made it out that didn't break survived, and that was the one that made it out and
Damn.
survived. And I had little, and I took a little pins on the side to put the holes in the side.
Mhm.
And I said, you know what? Because I'm so early this, I said, you know what? I'm gonna take bendy wire because I know I can make that. It won't be any good if I use elastic. Um, and like later on down the line, we'll figure it out. But I was like, to be able to execute that, that's what that was. And I know that now and I did that shirt myself. Like I did the sewing on that one um myself. Like now,
Yeah, because this
The,
was,
the
I,
jeans are so cool.
yeah, and keep in mind
yeah,
to the audience, he did this. How many years ago was that? This had to been at
sheesh,
least four, probably
sheesh.
4 years now.
Yeah, like
It
now,
didn't even
now I
seem like
would
it, but it was like, yeah, this. I know now
now
you refined the style. This is
not
still,
that
With the
yeah.
and I got people to and I got people and I have like a talented person that can help me with that.
Hmm.
Like so, like now, if I want a specific type of outfit, I have a person next because I've done it so long. There's people with individual skill that would go, like, okay, I want to do this sports figure. Okay, I can make jerseys. Oh, I need this special suit. Oh, I can do that suit. Because they like my work. So, it now I've done other pieces still from scratch. I think somebody came into my studio and they asked me to do Will Ferrell Elf, the Elf from
Yeah, yeah.
that movie Elf. he asked me could I do it from scratch, and I was like, that's kind of outside of my wheelhouse, like. But then he's like, yeah, my wife, her dad passed away. It was the favorite movie they used to watch together,
Mhm.
and and that's what I said. You know what? That
Now you
sound like
got a story behind it. There's like it's
yeah,
more than just doing Will Ferrell. There's a connection to a spiritual
yeah. I
connection
have
to
to,
your
yeah.
customer.
I
Yeah.
have to, I have to, I have to have something like that if I'm going to do it. So I did now I did that piece everything myself from that to I did that completely from scratch, and then but like but yeah, started with me and my wife with the sewing, and then she saw like she like she'll go, he can just make it, but it's like I was just watching my wife because I had to watch her because since home economics, like I forgot how to set the sewing machine up, and she understands the things that hit it with the stitching. I'm just like it's done, so I don't understand the technical ways of doing it. So like even for her, like if I were to sew today, I need her to help me set up the machine and get me just where I can just run it through. But once it's set up, I'm like I'm good. I'm good to go.
So, Corey, this is a classic example of the saying, behind every great man. So, could you tell us
Mm.
more about your wife and your family? And also,
Yeah,
when we introduce you as a truly dope artist, I understand that she named your company that as well.
yeah,
Tell us about
yeah,
that, even more about the House of Hanzo itself.
yeah. Well, I created the House of Hanzo um, because like I said, when I came, well, for a while I wanted to be when I was a rapper and I was writing and producing. I learned I was in. It was the guy that took me in, and what I noticed was there was like 30 of us, 30 guys rapping, getting together. It's like just that a group, right? So it all that feeling is always cool when you got like a group and you can all just create. So um, my wife didn't always create, but to me, I think everybody has the ability. It's just a matter of unlocking the spark and depending on what it is. So but when I realized I could have a studio, and I came up with House of Hanzo, I said, though, I want to create something to where if um, my wife has an idea, my children have an idea, my brother, my mom, whoever has an idea, they can be. It's in the House of Hanzo that I could help them get that thing done, and all they'll have to do is just tell me. That's it. But so and then on paper, they'll have done this thing. It doesn't matter if they hand on paper. It's their idea. It was done, right? So the House of Hanzo was me setting. That's what the House of Hanzo originally was for me. And over time, more artists come under that wing. Whoever it is, it's the house. They came for like the House of Hanzo, like a what you call it, a creative think tank where they can come and give their ideas, and I just use my skills to help them make it. If they don't eventually take it on some of the skills and make it themselves, from being in that environment. So, but my wife, um, so I've watched her literally. We started with the figures. I would tell her all the time. I'd be like, look, man, like I could paint and do all that, but I would tell her, I would go, look, I think you surprised me if you painted. I think you can paint. And she'd go, oh, no. And she did, you know. Now, what happened because of um, the exposure I got with the figures, um, I had people coming after me trying to offer me deals and all this stuff. So I turned down some like crazy deals, like
Mhm.
crazy opportunities, because I didn't want to be owned, right?
Mhm.
And I didn't want people feeling like throwing in my face, oh, you owe me or I have to do this. So like I
Yeah.
turned out some crazy opportunities. They want that
They're
like
giving you deadlines.
crazy. Yeah.
Mhm.
So and I almost shed a tear when I did because you go, man, I could have been with Oprah. I could have got in front of
Mhm.
but it's like but I had like but I always had my wife. My whole thing was you know if whatever I'm setting up, whatever I'm setting up, um, and I'm watching the times because I'm very aware. Whatever I'm setting up, I saw very early, and this is my opinion, so I don't. Um, I see where the world is going, and the black woman right now, who's the most educated group, who's still going to college, like so if we got there, if they've been getting educated while a lot of people are not going to college, men are not going to college and getting educated, who's going to be running these companies? Who's going to be, by default, who's going to be running what we need? Who's going to be in charge, right? So I'm sitting there going, look, I was like, yo, whatever I build, you know, my wife understands my thinking, my wife understands my logic, and I don't, and I want whatever I set up, you know, like I'm preparing for the future, you know. So it's like, look, if I end up with a company, or if I end up, it's going to be a black woman leading it, you know. And especially in the space I'm in, so with, like this toy space, there's not a lot of brothers in the toy space running the company, right?
Mm.
What's going to be even crazy if there's a black woman running it, right? And if they're black women that see a black woman running it into the level of what I'm doing, my wife is by the art, she's there, she's right there, she knows it all. So, you know, who would that would who will that inspire? Um, you know, uh, when when I making these figures got me out to California, and I wasn't gonna go, but the guy that I finally talked to, said everybody was trying to come to me with all this nonsense.
This is
This
San
one guy
Diego.
came to San Diego, and this is how I got to San Diego. A guy hit me up, and people were sending people for me. Their assistant hit you up, and da da da. You know that, and I was just done. So this one guy reaches out to me, tells me this other guy wants to speak to me, and I just had it. I said, you know what? Give me his email, and I went and let this guy have it. I said, look, I don't know who you are. Tired of your shark swimming. I just laid him out. And he comes back and he goes, I understand why the sharks are swimming, but no, I want to talk to you. And and we had like numerous conversations, and I explained to him, look, man, if you're not about what I'm about, my vision, where I'm trying to go, the bigger message, the bigger picture, I don't want to deal with you. Because I don't want to do mass retail anyway. I'll just do the art. So what happens is, more and more we talk. He's sitting there, he said, you know what? I see the work you've been doing, but I know there's a lot more in your head, and a lot of things you say on camera, you're saying off camera. So you're not just that guy on camera; you're that guy off camera. A lot of what you say, a lot of people don't admit once they get outside the boardroom. They say it all in the boardroom. When you get outside, they don't say it anymore. He said, "I want to help you fund whatever that vision is, whatever's in there. I want to help you fund that vision." And that's where we start. I said, "Okay, you know what? I'm comfortable doing my art, bringing it to retail for people that can afford it, but I still have my pieces, but do it at a lower retail scale." And that's where we try to come up with my name, and my wife came up with dope, depicting our people's excellence. And
Excellent.
depicting our people's excellence. So it's like it's a movement more than just a name. I got it on my hat. So
Mhm.
and this is in the era of the red hat. When the red hat starts, so I'm like, oh, well, we got depicting our people's excellence now, and anybody can wear the hat. It's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
depicting our people's excellence, right? So so
Thank
what I strategically think like, what? So if because my partner is white, so I go, he goes, I can wear that. I'm like, yeah, man, because you're depicting our people's
you. I
excellence.
You
wear
depicting our people exactly.
Right? You see, it's like that's why I told my wife. I said it's genius. It's structured in a way where no one can feel left out
yeah,
unless they make themselves left out. If
exactly.
they not include, they shut themselves out because nothing in this is saying no, you can't. It's saying you're depicting our
Hmm.
people's excellence, right? So what happened was, the guy invites me out to San Diego for a soft launch, and it's like at the end of COVID, and I'm like, nah, bruh. I'm not dying to show my work out there. In Cal, I'm not doing no San Diego. San Diego, the big one. I'm not catching COVID just to show that off. Sorry. And he was like, come on. But my wife talked me into doing it. But I hopped in a car because I wasn't going to get in no plane. I hopped in a car and drove across over there to San Diego. And I took every piece I had done. So I had from Harriet Tubman up to Jay Z, Miles Davis, Slick Rick. I had everybody there. So when I show up at Comic Con, I'm just bombed them with all these pieces. And everybody's there looking at it, and they're like, I'm getting like everybody's meeting with me. Uh, Netflix, the the Bloomhouse, they didn't have nothing to do with toys. It's like
Mhm.
everybody just meeting, and I'm seeing like the response to me out there, and I'm like, oh wow, you know. So I'm looking around and I'm going, hold up. All this when I was saying I wasn't going to do retail, I'm seeing like opportunity. Like there's none of this here. And my partner telling me, he's like, you don't see none of this here. So when we leave out of Comic Con, we basically leave out of Comic Con um, with dope launched, where we're gonna do on 6 scale figures at a price. And then after I went to Comic Con, I said, you know what? I don't want to be labeled and pigeonholed in this one spot, which is what they're gonna do. That's number one. Number two, I don't know how I'm gonna get funding for dope because some people, they may not be willing to give me the funds for that. But if I had a toy company and I had access to like GI Joe or something, I'd probably get funding for that, and I can use that funding to fund dope.
Mhm.
So I told my partner, I said, look, man, thanks for helping me come up with this vision, but I want to come up with this other company that entails it all, you know. And then my wife came up with another name. She came up with Let's Be Onyx, but the initials are LBO. I
Mhm.
said, yo, that's dope. When we go into meetings, when it's around our people, we can say let's be Onyx. When we get around them, we just say LBO.
Mhm.
So they won't be they you know what I'm saying? I was like, because I play chess, not checkers. So what happened is basically I go to Comic Con, I come out of Comic Con not only with one company, now I have a second company that where one is focusing on black excellence, the other one, let's be Onyx, let's be Onyx's phrase is tagline is everyone has fun.
Mhm.
So I'm like, okay, so and this is where and this is where I talk to you about. This is where I go. Okay, but let's be honest. I got access to the Captain Action license, so I got access to the license of the guy who created GI Joe, right? He created Captain Action for superheroes. I got access to that, and that was from going to Comic Con because the guy saw dope. He let me work on that. So he gives me access to that. Then I want this is where my House of Hanzo logic comes back in. Now it's like, okay, what I thought about House of Hanzo, I want to bring over to LBO. I'm getting access to learning about production. I'm on the main floor of Comic Con. Like most artists go in there and gotta go in Artist Alley. I never even seen an Artist Alley. I was right next to Marvel. Like, so I'm sitting there seeing my opportunities. I'm like, yo, they opened the door for me.
Mhm.
So I, my mission is to bring more of us in this space. So with Let's Be Onyx, you give me idea, or whatever. We get to create it. We get access to production. We just got to figure out funding. But all these platforms I'm being given, how can I expose other artists to those that never thought of making a toy or never, had the opportunity? And it's being touched by a black hand. So you're not giving away your property to them. Your IP is your IP at the end of the day. I'm not buying your IP off of you, but we help with distribution. So I then went from a sculptor to a designer to a distributor. And
Right.
once again, I'm tying this back around. When I'm saying what I got, my wife, because she is my partner
Mhm.
on paper, she's everything I am.
Mhm.
So when we walk in the room, I go, yeah. When she can walk in the room, she can go, yeah, we're with this company. Oh yeah, okay, what your company do? Everything that we achieve. Oh well, we got a collectible company in our first year. We got the Universal Studios license. We didn't even sell nothing yet. We got the Universal Studios license. We got Captain Action license. Um, this year we're dropping the Rapping Max Eric Orr figure. And Eric Orr, which is one of my first things working with a black artist. Like
Mhm.
he's a guy that worked with Keith Haring,
Mhm.
you know, and no one knows that story, but he made the first hip hop comic book.
Yeah, he's from Brooklyn, right?
Yup. And he's out in the Bronx now, but I think he had Brooklyn. So, but he's the one that
Brooklyn,
made the
Bronx,
first
one of
hip
them.
hop
But yeah,
comic book.
yeah, I've heard about this stuff.
Yeah. So we we get to put out his first figure
That's dope.
and tell his story, and that's going to find and that's going to be shown at Comic Con this year, and it's going to drop this year for release. So now that's finally me getting the first retail piece
Hmm.
out of a black artist.
Hmm.
Um, the Captain Action, we got Captain Action, and my partner, we added Major Action, which is the first black character in the toy line to it. So, um, so we get to build that out. And Major Action, Captain Action line is basically Captain Action is the way GI Joe could put on all the military clothes back
Hmm.
in the day. Captain Action is all costume sets for superheroes. So if you want your Spider-Man or Superman, you buy a Captain Action, and then you buy a Spider-Man costume or
Hmm.
Captain America costume. So by including Major Action in there,
Hmm.
now we got black superheroes. Now
Hmm.
this is the crazy thing. I'm going, well, now we got black heroes. I'm not thinking only Marvel and DC. I'm
Hmm.
like, look, black comic book creators,
Hmm.
you have a black comic, we have a Major Action. That's a way to get a costume set for your character on
Hmm.
Major Action. And now you have a retail figure out there without having to do all the work of a retail figure, just a costume set,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know. So it's like this very, but so we have that, and my partners. What I did was because, like I said, from you and McFarlane, I had the knowledge of already how to build. I said, you know what? I'm just the artist, but I remember Image Comics, and I saw like so you had your thing. I said, look, I want to build. I don't just want a bunch of guys. I want guys that actually all have the skill of their own thing. And we build like this team. So um, I had my one partner was the top distributor in art toys already, so he already knew distribution. But at the next guy that I met, his name was Steve Ford. He ran Go Hero Toys, but he was a guy that was always giving me advice in my meetings for dope. And he was and he was white. So I got two white guys. This other dude came up to me at Comic Con. His name was Mike Polis. He's the guy that had the Captain Action license, but he was part Puerto Rican. But he was saying, "Yo, man, what you're doing with dope is so important." His experiences from his mom, what his mom dealt with racism. We just had a serious conversation. And when I went over to his booth, I was like, "Yo, dude, you own Captain Action? You got the Garbage Pail Kids license on?" And I'm sitting like, who are you? So turns out later on, they're like, "You know who that is?" I'm like, "No, I don't know none of these guys." But I bought him in the company. Later on, it turns out my partner, Mike, he's the guy who executive produced Yo Gabba Gabba with DJ Lance.
Hmm.
So, and now we got DJ Lance's license to come out on Dope as a figure.
Hmm.
So, and then, so I got these three guys that are already established. Oh, he used to own Kid Robot, and
Hmm.
he worked for Jim Henson. Like so,
Yeah, that's
so
pretty
I
amazing.
have I have all these guys that have all the skills to give me the advice I need and know how to set up a company. And pretty much, this is how I say it. I say, yo, most people have mentors, and the mentor gives you advice on how to set up a company. How many people get the mentors to set the company up with you and be part of the company
Hmm.
to ensure you succeed?
Hmm.
That's what I have.
Hmm.
But I said, you know what? There's one more person I want to add to this. Who embodies the collector? Who knows all this toy knowledge? Who's cool? Another one of us, though,
Hmm.
right? So it's me, my wife, and then we bought. Then Kwame came in, and we started talking to Kwame, and I was like, "Yo, Kwame, you know." I asked him was he interested. He was definitely interested. So
For
now,
people that who don't know, there's Kwame the rapper,
yep,
the original Kwame from
and he knows, and
back then.
his knowledge of toys is so extensive. He knows everything. So now we're a majority minority owned company, right? Because I got my two guys, Mike Polis, Puerto Rican, Kwame. So I got the black, the brown, and the white. Everyone
Hmm.
has fun. So now I got these guys when they go in a room, they can go talk. And I go, yo, you can go in the rooms and don't talk where I don't have to worry about they can go get deals done and no one's and they know how to get these deals done, and they know how to speak the language, and they're looking at my best interest. They're part of the company. They're about artists and creativity, and they're about our cause. You know, when people use the word ally, it's like, nah, I vetted these dudes. Like they bout it. So when it's like my partner Steve right now. Anytime somebody's meeting with him, he's talking about dope. You know, he talking about dope to them. He's making sure it comes up in the conversation and making sure. So, like I said, I'm just very blessed. You like you said to me, where divine intervention has come a long time. It's literally that. It's literally the right people have been placed around me. And I'm a good judge of character, and I watch people. I don't trust everybody because I'm from Philly. So you know how we are. It's like, who are you? Yeah. So
Mhm.
I get these guys that make all the moves, and for the past couple years we've been building, and I get to walk around and say, what I say is, when we make toys, even because we're working on a hip hop toy line right now, but I get to say we make toys that are from the culture and of the culture. It's not an appropriation, but whatever. My only rule at LBO is, no matter what it is we make, whether it be Captain Action or whoever it is, Rapping Max. We talked about Brother Man. Anything, I say, yo, you gotta understand. There's people that love that. Everything has its own subculture to it, so we have to pay respect to that culture, because that's what y'all don't. It's not just a cash grab. So whatever it is, pay attention to that culture, respect that culture, and show it love, no matter what it is, and they will appreciate that and will do the opposite. And my business model is, they said they had to come up with a word for it, because my business model is the opposite of being selfish. It's like when people are bought in, they're leaving with something that's still theirs, and not me trying to take.
We all win. And I really commend you for standing on your vision, your faith and your confidence in that, and your wife, of course, as well.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, I would just want to ask, what do you think is your personal quality that's helped you to persevere and to be successful?
um I have the ability to zoom out, and I have patience. Like, I have the patience to wait it out. And um it's not optimistic all the time, but I can see the silver lining always. Like, so, even right now, like what's going on in the world, right? All this craziness is going on. For me, even our country, just our country alone, the wildness that's going on. Me, what keeps me from going crazy, or wanting to burn everything down is, and I used to feel that way when I was younger, but I have the ability to always zoom out and look at the longer game. So, like right now, with what we're going through, I don't look at us. I look at the kids, and I see the kids' attitude, and I look at online, and I see how the younger kids, they don't like hate. The younger kids want to include everybody. They don't want to push nobody out. They don't like toxic things. They just want everybody to get along. So, and and by science, these old people running this are gonna die. So, like, I always look at things with like a logical um, perspective, but at the same time still acknowledging what's going on. So I don't blindly go, oh well, we'll be all right. It's like, no, I acknowledge we're dealing with what we're dealing with, but I just have that ability to like just calm down and like zoom out, versus like young me probably wouldn't be able to, like me 18, I wouldn't be able to do this. It's like I've just, over the years, I've just been able to just take that perspective. I always tell people, I go, look man, when you're looking at something and you're upset right now, I even say it to my son, I say zoom out. Like, zoom out.
Mhm.
Zoom out. Be upset. Be upset. And don't forget you're upset. But zoom out, so you don't doomcast and just
Yeah.
decide you're not going to do something because you're upset right now. Zoom out and see where it can go. You know.
Yeah, I think that's because, what we always say is that any point in life is not the absolute when it comes to like financial, like okay, oh man, I'm broke today. I don't have any money. That doesn't mean you'll never have money forever because money constantly flows. It's just you're at
Mm-hmm.
that point where, I don't have it, but anything can happen tomorrow and change that whole perspective. Your health, you could be overweight, sick,
Mm-hmm.
and just feel like, oh man, your confidence is down, and then you work on yourself because that's the magic of the human body, is that you can fine tune it and be at your best health that you've never been your whole life. You know what I mean? So with the things that you're talking about, um, I could see that you always been disciplined,
Yeah.
self-determination, not allowing other people to define you and put you in a box. You knew what you wanted, you went for it. I like the fact that you didn't want to be owned. These are
Yeah.
all the things, like you say, when zooming out, this is what and I wouldn't just say the younger people, but even our older generation, a lot of us, a lot of times we wanted to be a part of, you know, I want to,
Mm-hmm.
like you were saying before, I want to work at this place. The places that we grew up
Yep.
admiring is always,
Yep.
that's the goal, to work there. And then once you work there, what's the end game? You know what I mean? Because you don't pass that company down to your children.
And
You know
we're
what I
No.
mean?
thinking that you would be secure.
Yeah, and then you'd be secure. So the next, and then I don't say it's a bad thing for those, because everybody can't be the boss. Everybody can't
Mm-hmm.
run something. Some people, that's their thing. Hey, I'm here, I'm good, I can take care of my family, whatever. So I don't knock it. I'm just saying, but there has to be those within our community that say, I want to own something. We can be as great as those companies that we admire coming up. It doesn't mean you hate those companies, because like you said, Star
No.
Wars, we love that. But can we have a Star Wars? Can we have great stories and things of that nature that we share with the world? It's an
Yeah.
extension, it's an expression of ourselves, but it's for the world. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
We
For
got we
everybody to
we got the
enjoy.
cheat code.
Hmm.
We. This is what I tell a lot of people. I go, look. I know they don't, cause, but this is happens when they tell us we don't have and what we can't do, and because we have the unlimited cheat code. So by default, okay, you can't create the next Spider-Man in your head. You don't have to. We had a cheat code where you can take Spider-Man, just make him black, because we never had it. I tell my partner, I go, yeah, we gonna do this. That he goes, that's already been done. I said, yeah, it was already done for y'all.
Hmm.
But for us, we never had that. We never had a Star Wars. So the person that creates the first black version, and not line for line, but you know what I mean.
Hmm.
The template's already laid there. A lot of us are sitting there trying to find the next ideas. Like, nah, man, the ideas are already there. We got the cheat code because we can take it and sprinkle a little bit of sauce on it and make it better. They can't. They've already done it. Their mediocrity doesn't allow them to. That's why they keep rebooting the same 50 million movies over. Say if we owned Hollywood, right? And if we rebooted all the movies they made, I think about it, I was like, if we redid The Godfather, if we redid, we could redo every movie in Hollywood our way. It's already been written, but put our thing onto it, it will be a new thing. But they can't do that. They reboot it. People look at it like it's the same shit. So that rule applies to so many things. If you're going, oh, what can I do? What can I add to this? It goes, well, you can add, but no matter what the space is, whether it be toys, whether it be video games, whether it be music, even books, or whatever it is, look for what was already there. If it's already there and they did it, they already gave you the template of how to do it. You just take it and add your little bit of flavor to it. And not saying that's going to be your template all the time, but if you want to, like, I'm talking about for, like, if you want to get fresh into it, you're trying to just start from the beginning. You add your little bit to it. You're going to evolve and eventually create your own thing. But if you want the easy code, it's like, look, man, well, what TV show? I want to do a crime show. Well, man, there's 50 million crime shows they wrote, brother. All you got to do is come up with a jazzy name and look at that and say, what I didn't like about this, What will connect with me? What will resonate with my people about this? Add that into it, and it's a completely new thing. They could never do that. And a lot of people they go, oh, I don't know. It's like, well, I understand why you don't know, because no one, like, there's no one that says this. It's like, and I wish there were more people. I try to explain to as much people I have, because, and the only word I started boiling it down to, I said, yo, I gotta boil this down into two words. It's called the cheat code, because the long-winded one, it's like we have a cheat code, and we do. It's just untapped, and if there's more people knew that we have that cheat code, I mean us, we have it, and it's just figuring out where it is you want to do and how to unlock it, and then talking to the person that may be able to help you unlock it. I just haven't met too many people that speak that way, that I can go, okay, we can line up. It's like I'm always explaining to the other person how there's a cheat code, and they go, oh wow, you're right, and it's like, yeah. So I think our job is, my job is, yeah, I make all this dope art, yeah, I do these figures, and you hear my story. Um, that responsibility was handed to me, and when I realized it was handed to me, was when I saw the published response to what I was doing. And I said, oh, wow. And I was looking for the other person to teach me. And they kept going, no, brother, it's you. I said, oh, wow, it is me. Well, if it's me, now I got a responsibility. But what is it about me?
Mhm.
I always get that spark. But everybody has it. But it's not turned on all the time. And people go, what do you mean the spark? And I can't explain it to everybody. But there's one person that caught us. I said, you remember when 50 Cent came out? And they go, yeah, yeah, I remember when 50 Cent came out. I said, 50 Cent pulled off two albums back to back that were like just ridiculous. And every song was like a single. Every song was a single, right? And then it faded out. He caught that spark. Whatever that spark was, he caught it every single time. And then it like fizzled off for him. But then what's funny, when I listened to him later, he was like, yeah, I caught the spark. I said, oh my gosh, he said it. And he knew it. So my whole thing has been, so now I got confirmation that that spark does this. It's not just my philosophy, but it's how do you help people unlock that spark? Montwain Gonzalez, the dude I talked to on my break, he a spark was there, but it took him saying to me like, "Yo, bro, what you're exactly doing, keep doing that." And then I looked at it and said, I got a cheat code. Why I got a cheat code? Have we ever had a Harriet Tubman action figure? Have we ever had a da 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 action figure? I said, man, I got an endless well. Our history is so deep. There's so many stories in it.
Yeah, yeah.
I can never run out. So I can constantly make a new one, and there's always going to be a new story to tell. Because even the people I make, I don't know all their stories. I make them and let other people teach me.
I would like to ask you about two things. Um, one, just what would you say to people, especially young people, in terms
Mm-hmm.
of, well, recognizing the spark and having the, I don't know if it's the courage, the confidence to act on it. And the other question I'll ask is, how do you, as a storyteller, determine whose story needs or deserves to be told?
And one last
Mm-hmm.
minute. Yeah, we're probably going about to run out of time on the Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
Probably got about 5 minutes. So
Okay.
on this week, I want to close out with these final thoughts. I hope I didn't interrupt the question.
No, 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 no,
I
no.
just
I
don't want
heard.
to cut off on us while we're in the middle of
No,
that.
I try to break down the first. You say, how do you tell the youth? Because that's the message I got to get out. For the youth, um, this goes back. Oh, it's the being in front of the camera. Everybody's afraid to be in front of the camera, but what I like to let the youth know is the person you're watching, or those celebrities, or some of your favorite artists, they're afraid to be in front of the camera. A lot of them. So this is not just the area. It's like even it's just people that so it's like
They're afraid to take a
um I
step.
they're afraid to see snap. But there was a guy that said, he said, yo, Go make your first 40 crappy videos. They're going to be crappy. They're going to be. Go make them because you get it out your system, and
Mm-hmm.
then you can evaluate them, and then you'll start to get better.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's but once again, there's the cheat code there. The cheat code for that is if you know you're afraid, they're afraid too. But it's about who's first. And if you get over that and don't worry about if they're going to like you or not, people want real. So if you go talk about you, there's someone that's going to be interested in you. Don't worry about the mass. There's going to be like minded people like you that think just like you because you're not an alien. There's another person like that.
What was the other? Yeah, the second part.
Well, how do you determine whose story needs and deserves to be told?
Um, for us, I look at the history, and like I said, it's such a well. Once again, that's where it's like divine. It's like which one speaks to me, which one I turn around and the sculpt's done. That's
Mhm.
what sick guys is like. Sometimes, like I just did a Toussaint Louverture, and before I probably would have been scared to do it, but I was like, no, because there's no real images of them. But for me, it was like, you know what? I've never done a Haitian revolutionary, and I think he will speak to many people because we've been given the same story over and over again. Like my Martin Luther King story been told 50 million times. I'm not going to add nothing to it. But if you see a Toussaint Louverture, you know, wow, that's a beautiful piece. And now the Haitians, they're like, wow, where would you see that? You know.
And you just tapped another audience too. And
Mm-hmm.
that's prime definition of drawing from the soul. Like when you finally step outside of trying to crack somebody else's code, when you realize that you already have it inside, because that's why I said our seed is what we create from.
Right.
That's that's what we give to the world,
Right.
and in the world they receive what we give them, and when other people give, we receive that. But we're not supposed to get stuck in that receiving. We're supposed to, that's the infinity symbol. We give and
Mm-hmm.
we receive. So basically, man, this is amazing because we didn't really you covered all of our grounds. We didn't even have to ask
Oh,
any
word.
questions. And I could, man, we this could go for like another hour, man, because it was so impactful and
Empowering.
yes, empowering. I think a lot of the young people and
All
elders,
ages.
all ages, I
Oh
think
yeah, yeah.
Never,
All
all
ages.
all
Yeah.
never
nationalities.
too late.
Yeah, what you have to share is for everybody and everybody to embrace what you have to give, and I really appreciate it. So we want to get your I'm gonna post up your socials anyway.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, you could say what it is, but I'm gonna post it up so everybody knows. And if there's any last words that you want to give to aspiring artists or even people who aren't artists, who, like you were saying, people who fear being on camera, because you started this before we started filming, that you were saying a lot of artists, they're hiding. The era of hiding yourself and being an
Yeah.
enigma is over.
And they're sitting at those jobs when you could be doing your art and sculpting
Exactly.
Yeah.
at your cue.
Yeah. Most people like right now. Oh, I gotta have the perfect camera or the perfect setup. And while you're doing that, there's somebody, there's a lady or there's some dude sitting in a car in their car right now, and they whatever old car with 600,000 views, telling people how their day went.
Yep.
So while you sitting there overthinking it, there's someone just turning on saying how they feel, and everybody's connecting with that person, and then they're building a following. You could any one of us can build a community. You don't have to be quote unquote what you think is special, because
Mhm.
we're all special. But this is my whole thing about. That's why I used to say, if we all knew that we had that spark or we had that cheat code or we all had this thing, what would a celebrity be?
Mhm.
If we all knew it, and that's see when they go conspiracy, like that's the only thing I say is like they keep you thinking that you're not special, this person in, but
Yeah.
see that didn't come from us because
Mhm.
we say, notice how we say we all kings and queens, right?
Mhm.
That other group, they only have one king and queen. They'll go, oh, look at Brad Pitt, look at Robert Redford. You know what I'm saying? Like where we're like, oh man, we can speak how many beautiful black people we have on screen, and like that one person isn't it, you know. They like anoint one person and one man and lady, and they ride that wave with them and then throw them away and then pick their next. No, for us, we don't act that way. But it's bigger than us. It's not like we're not the only ones. If they all looked at themselves that way and we all treat each other that way, we all are special and unique. And a lot of people think they're aliens or they're different. And it's like, yeah, that's just because you haven't came across the people that think like you. But they're there, and the easiest way to reach them is online. So if you get in front of that camera and get comfortable talking in front of that camera and just talk about what you want to talk about, the community could be 5 people. You know, you don't have to have millions of followers. There's some people with only a couple hundred people out the world follow them, and they're eating well. Because because they're selling to the people that buy, and the people that want to support them, and you don't need that much, and that's what the internet allows us to have. So, and that's part of the cheat code too. Now, I wish we had, man. If you would have had the internet and AI when Brother Man came out.
Yeah. But like you said, man, everything happens in its time. You know what I mean? That's so key for the next thing, and what you're doing is sowing the seeds for your next generation. Because in their era, they're gonna be like, man, I wish my dad had transporters like we do. And then they go off the market. You know what I'm saying? It's like that. So that's what's gonna happen. Everything is it evolves in its time. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna have to wrap because I want to make sure that we get you in this time frame. And man, we really appreciate you coming on, man. This has been a blessing. I still have a whole bunch of questions I want to ask you, but we'll have to bring you on in part 2.
Continue.
Yeah, hopefully by then we'll definitely have raised our awareness with the Drawing from the Soul channel.
Yeah, I can't wait till there's the Drawn with Soul tour, and I'm seeing the panels.
Oh yeah. Well, it's all coming.
I know it's coming.
Definitely coming to Philly. You all both of your hometown.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, well, like I said, I'm gonna put the socials down at the bottom, and actually they're gonna be on the screen too. So once again, I say give thanks, appreciate you, and enjoy the rest of your weekend, my brother.
Oh, you too, y'all. Thanks for y'all having me. I appreciate y'all time, and very just glad to be able to talk and share with y'all the story and where everyone can go. That's my big picture is when I'm talking about me. It's not I'm amazing. It's we all are amazing.
That's dope. Sir.
Yes, sir. All right, and we'll talk soon.
All right, bro.
All right. Peace.
Peace.